There you go. Those are the 5 tips. What am I saying? Right? Those are the 5 steps and tips that we have for y'all that are interested in building a brand. Queen, what should they make sure they do?
Make sure you like and subscribe.
Yes,
Please.
like and subscribe to the podcast, to the YouTube channel, and go ahead and let us know if you are interested in building a brand or if you already have a brand. Leave a comment below. What is your brand name and who is your specific customer avatar? Who is your audience? Go ahead and leave that below. We look forward to engaging with y'all. Now, of course, make sure y'all secure the marriage. Make sure y'all secure the love. And of course, make sure y'all secure the bag. Peace. Over 50% of Black Americans are unmarried, and only 2% of Black families in America have a net worth over $1 million.
We are on our journey to not only join that 2%, but grow that 2%.
Facts. I'm Devon Travell, creator of Black Wall Street, the board game, with my beautiful co-host.
I'm Sinclair, aka the Health Nerd. You can go to our website at them4show.com, our Instagram at them4show, and our YouTube channel at Melanated Married Millionaires in the Making.
And welcome to the M4 Show. Somebody had the audacity, y'all, to start an Instagram account that said Devon Travell with the underscore at the end. All the hard work that I put into building the business, the brand of Devon Travell, the brand of me, was now at risk because there was this random person on Instagram that I believe was a bot or just, they had malicious intent. I believe they had malicious intent. And
sure did.
For sure. And they were DMing people with my name.
And you're missing a part. They didn't. It's not like someone just happens to also come up with this name. They took his profile picture.
Yes,
they were reposting his posts word for word. They were definitely trying to imitate Devon. They even put this is my backup page on there.
Malicious intent, y'all. It was crazy.
And then they bought followers.
So it looked like they had 10,000 followers. So if you know me, you follow me, you're thinking, oh, okay, Devon, I see you. You made it. You did it. All the hard work paid off. Not there yet. Still going. Where I'm going with this is, as they were DMing people, they were like, hello there, using a yellow emoji and just...
It was white.
Technically, it was a yellow emoji, but saying things and using emojis that I wouldn't use. And I'm a very silver lining person, right? So the things that I got from this experience is, one, there was somebody or some group out there in the world that saw my profile as so valuable that they wanted to copy it, right? So valuable that they thought, let me pretend to be this person, because if I'm this person, I can create value. So what does that tell me? That my identity, who I am, can create value. So I need to stop messing with myself and take it seriously before someone else tries to come and take my value that I've worked hard for, right? Number two, what it told me is that there are a group of people out there that have a very set impression of who I am and my identity. Had multiple friends that, send me a DM or even texted the queen, like, someone's trying to pretend to be you, and I know they're not you because they didn't use black emojis.
Period.
Right?
Shout out to Denzel. That's how I know this ain't Devon.
So someone else was like, oh, I knew it wasn't you because they weren't talking about black empowerment or wealth. Someone else was like, they didn't ask me about my hopes and dreams, so I knew it wasn't Devon because Devon always asked me about my hopes and dreams.
Someone else was like, oh, when I said hey frat, he wasn't excited or anything like that. Like, people know you, people know who you are, people know how you interact with them, and they expect that. And when you don't, they're like, this isn't right.
Something's fishy, right? So I had a great, great may be a strong word, because again, it was a negative experience. Had a lot of DMs, had to email a lot of people, all that stuff. But the fact that I was able to see what my brand is to other people. So my brand is a hopes and dreams brand, which is right on par with what I want to do. My brand is a black excellence, black empowerment, black wealth brand, which is right in line with what I want to do. My brand is a welcoming, happy, positive brand, right? So I encourage you, and I want to ask you, Queen, what you think your brand perception is to other people. But I encourage y'all to be intentional about the brand that you're building. And we're going to talk about 3 different areas in a second on personal branding. We're going to talk about how your own personal brand or identity within your relationship, within your marriage. We're going to talk about your own personal brand and identity within your job, right? Where you work, your 9 to 5 right now, you have a brand. Even though you're working for another brand, you're working for another business, you still have a brand. And then we're going to talk about your brand within your own entrepreneurship career or your own business. 3 lanes. I'm saying it twice because I want Sinclair to help me remember the
That's
3
what that was for,
categories. Yes, ma'am. But Queen,
yes,
when you think about your own personal brand, what do you think comes up for other people? Right? When they're thinking about Sinclair, what comes up?
health.
Nice.
I think like even yes, my Instagram is the health nerd, but we took that and like we say it on here. Like I'd say that as my nickname because that's just where a lot of my passion and where I feel like my purpose is educating folks, researching, right? I'm a very analytical person, so I love getting into the weeds and research and stuff like that, but then letting people know about it. So there's so many things I learned and I'm like, how do we not know this? How is this not front page news? So I like bringing those things forward so people can just be educated and make those decisions for their health on their own terms. So yes, I would think that being enthusiastic about health, being literally a health nerd is a part of my brand.
Nice.
I know sometimes people will and I know I haven't been putting as much health content out lately. But I know before when I was, every day or every couple days putting out stuff, I'd have people asking me for recipes or, workout plans.
So would you put cooking or chefing as a part of your brand?
Yes. I think, yeah. Even when we're at like friend's house or things like that, sometimes we like, but it's not as good as Sinclair's, whatever. Even people at your job who've never met me or have met me, they know that I can cook because of the way you talk about it. Or the kitchen's like right over the edge here, so sometimes I'll be cooking up stuff and they'll be like, oh, McQueen's down there making po' boys or whatever. So I feel like I would also be known for getting down in the kitchen. What I'm saying? And I started back in Davis. Shout out to TH4.
Shout out.
The resident chef and TH4. And so even when we had like Greek events there, I remember like making a whole big peach cobbler that was gone in literally 5 minutes, had people putting them in coffee filters because we didn't have plates.
Hands burning. It
just came out of the oven and people are putting this peach cobbler in their hands because they don't want it to be gone.
Fun times. Just, when you're a hungry college student and someone makes a pan of peach cobbler, you don't miss it. What's a burn? I'm fine. I'll heal. Oh man, but a few things that are spiraling in my head right now. One, before we get into those 3 lanes of branding, I want to talk about how your brand is amplified, right? So one thing that you said was people who literally have never, well, now they've met you in person, but before had never met you in person, quite frankly, didn't even know your real name because
the Queen,
I call her Queen. So I mean, that's kind of another branding thing. Like you're literally called the Queen as well. But they already knew things about you because I'm amplifying your messages. I'm amplifying your brand, right? So a lot of people, and I think I put this in the post specifically when I was posting this on LinkedIn. A lot of people meet your brand before they meet you. Right. So you have to be intentional about how your brand's being amplified and what that message is, because that can make or break a contract, a job, a relation, a marriage. Right. I know there's people who I try to maybe set them up on dates like, nah, I've heard about that person. I'm good. I know their brand. I'm good. Right. So one amplification is people, your friends. I think another clear amplification of your brand is your social media. Please, and this is maybe for our younger crowd, but this can be for anybody. If you have your Instagram, your Twitter, your TikTok, your LinkedIn, see it as a extension of you and the opportunities that you want to be given to you. Queen, anything to add on that before I go down a rabbit hole? Anything to add on amplifying your personal brand through the people that you know, through your social media, through pen pals and writing letters to people? Do that? No, that's done.
Pen pals. Anyways, you mean Instagram friends?
There we go.
No, I think you're right that like see your social media platforms as an extension of you. And I know that there are different social media platforms that are kind of for different reasons, for different audiences, if you will, but they all in some way, shape, or form should be a reflection of who you are. So I would say definitely take a look, like go back to your social medias and be like, is this how I want myself to be presented to the world? Whether your page is public or private, stuff is out there on the world, out there in the universe. And once it's out there, we don't own it anymore. So we can't always control what people do with it. Right? Case in point, somebody's taking his information and reposting his stuff with the efforts of trying to get people to send them money. Like that's what they were trying to do. Is this man is clearly a trustworthy man. And so much, right? They trusted his brand so much that they were like, if I take this identity and I email or I message his followers, I'm pretty sure people are going to send me money. Right?
Literally, they were DMing Professor, like, is this you? Da-da-da. And, shout out to y'all. I'm not going to say your names on here, but shout out to y'all for being smart, not sending any money. And they're like, yeah, I knew you wouldn't ask for this. Da-da-da-da. I was like, oh, thank you. But yeah, like y'all hitting up my students, my babies.
Not the babies.
Come on, man.
You don't play about his babies.
I don't. How did you evolve? And I know the brands shifted as well. So that might be my follow-up question. But for folks out there that are trying to, start their first brand, how did you first launch? Like, what was that product? I don't know if you remember how much it sold for. I don't know if you remember any of that stuff, but yeah.
Oof, we're talking close to 10 years, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Right.
I remember what the first product was. I remember specifically what it was. It was a gray t-shirt. And back then the brand wasn't called Everything, it was called Tutto Everything. And
Yeah.
Tutto was Italian for everything. So it was the words Tutto written across his shirt, but then it was like 3 blocks, right? Of the kind of black power flag, right? It was red, green, and black. So we had like this, like we were like, okay, and it was printed in East Oakland. Like, this guy had this printing press in his garage, and he kind of did it for us. And going through that experience, getting shirts made and then selling them and watching people wear them. And just a couple years ago, like I remember I was somewhere in downtown Berkeley and I saw somebody randomly wearing it. And I was with my brother, and I don't say like I see it. I'm like, that's so crazy. My brother is like, hey, where'd you get that shirt from? And they're like, oh. And she was like, and then I recognized her. I think she was with her boyfriend, and I recognized him, and he's like, oh, it was a friend of mine in high school, and he was talking about my friend. So just to be able to see that that progression and see it like that first shirt still being worn was pretty wild. But yeah, it started off with not anything specific in terms of messaging, just like it was just like Tutto, because we were like Italian, you want to be a designer brand, you got to have some type of foreign. So like it's okay, Tutto Italian, we just named it Tutto Everything, and just started doing different logo iteration, just seeing what worked, what didn't. I'm like in class, I'm like a drawer, like a doodler. So I'm like anything I doodle, oh, this might be cool, put this on a hat or something like that. So it was a really cool process, and like started, like I said, with 2 of my friends, and so working together with them, and really just being able to learn and navigate this world that we weren't familiar with. I think it was a great experience at the time. And then you mentioned how the brand changed and evolved. We continued it. And you guys know Andrew who went to Davis, right? So Andrew was, one of my friends who decided to continue on with me when we were in Davis. And then, we just, life had as we grew as individuals and our interests grew, our interests became different. And, we figured out, different things. He wanted to do different things within the music and design space that he's doing amazing work in up to now. And for me, so I had this brand that, is synonymous with myself. And I realized I didn't have like a clear kind of like platform or messaging. And to me, it was like the reason I wanted to continue it, right, for myself was because it became a passion. It became much more than just the money. It became like a way for me to have a creative outlet that I could monetize and continue to grow. And over time, I came up with the question, what's your everything? And I remember putting it as an Instagram caption one day, and I have the post probably archived or something, but I remember having that as an Instagram, and that's the first time I ever wrote that sentence out. And I was like, that's a pretty deep question, and like a lot of the people around me were reading it like, whoa, that's really deep, and it just made me look at society. It's like we're put in boxes, we're put in categories. In school we choose majors. It kind of like silos you into a specific um, path in life. And I had so many varying interests that I didn't like this whole I have to be in one position, or have to be um, I can only do this because this is what you studied, or this is what you do. So you can't spend too much time doing this. You can't spend too much time. And I was like, look, my everything is so many different things. I have so many different passions. I love sports. I love, design and fashion now. Like as I've grown in this space, just like renewable energy and sustainable projects, things like that, like global
Yeah.
development, and stuff like that. Those are things that um, in school that I started picking up. Languages, like I love languages, and I was like, I'm gonna create a platform, for people to pursue their everything. And it became like my phrase for how I really wanted to live my life in terms of, what what I tell people is what's that thing regardless of time, money, and resources, you're gonna find the time, money, and resources to do. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure for a number of us, it's gonna be multiple things. We have multiple varying interests. I think as humans we're very multifaceted. So that one question, that one phrase really, I think, encapsulated that whole idea. And my junior year in Davis, I decided to like really build out my business, create a 2-year plan, a 5-year plan,
Yeah.
um, and really put that as the foundation, right? Um, and what I did was, lead with this question. We wanted to create a platform that was multifaceted, thought like kind of like very big scale, in terms of expanding from just fashion into um, leveraging technology as well as storytelling.
Yeah.
Because what's good is a question without an answer, right? If I'm asking, I want to know what your everything is. Like this is a platform to to come share it. So what we did is really establish ourselves, wanting to build our brand, what our presence was going to be. Um, and a lot of that came out in 2020 with, we had like 4 different collections released in terms of the fashion and retail side. We released our augmented reality mobile app and magazine that's all embedded. Yeah, so that was super cool to do, and had our first documentary film.
Looking at our platforms, pop, what would you say we should do to get better at being laser focused, right?
That's
Like,
good.
if there's activities, if there's questions we should be asking ourselves, insights we should be looking at, just anything you feel like if we were your client, you'd be like, hey, do these things, that'll get you on track.
Got you. Great question. So there's three questions that I asked that I have my client work through. Is who are you talking to? Very first thing is who are you talking to, right? The second thing is what is their pain or pleasure point? What is their pain or pleasure point, right? What are they struggling with? What are they where are they trying to get to? You begin to kind of narrow down what that person needs, right? Or that group of people that you're speaking to needs. Number 3 is what solution do you have to cure that pain point or to provide that pleasure? Okay. So those are the 3 questions that you have to work through. And the reason why these are important is because once you can identify who it is that you're talking to, then you can begin to build out or figure out how you want to build a relationship with them. And you build that relationship with them through your content, right? Then what you also do is when you have identified their pain and their pleasure point, you know exactly where you can meet them, right? You know exactly what they're going through. You take the time to actually get to know, to fall in love with the individual, fall in love with the audience that you're speaking to, right? Then once you're able to fall in love with them and you care, right? And you begin to think about, okay, these are their pain, these are their pleasure points. Then you can relate that to the solution that you have to their problem. And what you're then doing is you're using your content to show that you have the solution to their problem. You're using your content to show that, hey, look, I know you. I know what you're dealing with. I know what you're going through. And look, I got content right here that is showing you very specifically that I'm talking to you first.
Mm-hmm.
And I care about you enough to know your pain and pleasure point, and I'm providing a solution to be able to do that. So what I would say is you have to work through those questions. You have to work through those questions. And the reason why it's important to work through those questions, because if not, shout out to my homegirl, Coach Jamie. She said to me, when you're talking to, because one of the things that I struggle with was talking to everybody. I felt, hey man, what I got, I could talk to everybody and it's all good. She said, if you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. If you're talking to everybody, then you're talking to nobody. So you have to identify. And plus, and here it is. I'll shut my mouth.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
What I realized, man, in it, think about this. I realized that I was selfish in that approach because I was sacrificing the people who actually needed to hear my message. I was sacrificing them for this idea that I can serve everybody, right? So I'm feeding people who may not necessarily like the food that I got, but there's specific people who like exactly what I'm offering, the food that I got, but I'm feeding everybody else, right? Neglecting them when they actually need what I have. So the beauty of focusing your attention and the beauty of being crystal clear about who you're talking to is that you're beginning to feed the people who actually need what you have.
So I want to stay right here in this pocket. Right?
Okay.
I want to stay right here. How do you know who you want to feed versus who really needs that food? You know, like if I'm building my customer avatar, I may say I want to feed black homeschooling families, right? But how do I know that the food that I'm giving is actually what they want? Or more specifically, like for health, for example, I feel like there's so many different avenues that you can go for health. But how do you really find that lane? Do you make it the lane, or are there like checks and balances that you can do along the way?
So let's take 9 to 5 creator for instance. So 9 to 5 creator, I'm a 9 to 5. I'm a 9 to 5 worker trying to transition into entrepreneurship, right? Leveraging social media to do so.
Yep.
So what I started to do is, okay, because I'm a 9 to 5 worker, right? Because I'm a 9 to 5 worker and I'm trying to create content, what are some of the pitfalls that I've fallen into? What are some of the issues that I'm finding myself bumping into? What are some of the hindrances that I've had trying to build this platform or trying to figure out how to create content, trying to figure out what kind of content to create? What are some of those things for me? And I've taken those things because I can speak to those things because I've been through them. So basically what I've done is I've taken my own experience and my own journey and I've packaged that into content. Why? I'm not the only one that's going through that, right? I'm not the only one that's going through that. I'm not the only one who has either gone through these particular things or currently going through them. Because what you'll find and what I found is, particularly with my clients, I'm literally teaching people who once were where I was.
Facts.
So all I'm basically doing is I'm taking you, if I'm at C, I'm basically teaching you how to get from where I was to where I am. And so when you begin to think about what if as far as health is concerned, okay, what were some of the struggles that you had in your own personal health? What were some of the issues that you had as far as changing your diet or exercise or whatever like that? What were some of those issues that you bumped into, right? Some of those brick walls that you ran into that you were able to overcome. How were you able to overcome them? Right? What did you have to get a mentor? Did you have to get somebody? Did you have to get an accountability group? Like, what were some of those things that helped you overcome those things? And what you're then doing is you're then now packaging that and you're using that as content. You're now telling, okay, this is what I did to get from point A to point B or from point A to point C. That's all you're doing. We are simply taking our customer or taking our audience on the journey from where we were to where we are now. We don't have to overcomplicate this thing. What was it that you found yourself struggling with, and how did you overcome it? And you share that with your audience.
We're stuck in the freebie stage right now.
Yeah, we're giving out all this free, but we're in the freebie stage, but we're not collecting information. We did, I think, a great series where we did the Melanated Married Millionaires challenge, where that was a
$1 million marriage challenge.
Thank you. $1 million marriage challenge. That was a free challenge or a pay what you want. You can donate. But I didn't do a good job at collecting a lot of information in the registration form because we wanted it to be frictionless, right? Just click registration, donate what you want, or donate $0. and you're in. I think the next either free event or free resource that we do, we need to make sure we collect information. Are you married? Where do you live? What's your income? What is your pathway to $1 million? Is it real estate? Is it entrepreneurship? That way we know what type of maybe classes they need specifically for their pathway. Right.
Mhm.
That's what I'm
And
thinking. But we got the expert here.
yeah,
Coach us. What we doing?
whenever there's anything you're giving out for free, especially free, collect data. So it's nothing to ask for an email, get a free training, right? Sometimes when you ask for email and phone number, it could sway people away. But also, what you're doing is vetting them better. Because obviously, if you put your phone number and your cell phone number, you really want the service. And you want serious people who are serious about their marriage and also serious about investing. If you want to increase the pricing to where you can have an entry for 200 and then have a tiered effect. So if you do like an annual VIP master class where people are spending more quality personal time with the two of you, you can always increase it and also highlight the transformational processes or the journeys through, other interviews or conversation pieces. I'll give you reviews.
Thank
Because
you.
like the simple, yeah, like even the simple conversation piece that we have, it's like, oh, you know what? That is true. I think you're like, just ask the question. I was like, you're right.
Yep.
Because I could be super blunt at times with certain things with them. Like, am I being too blunt? Like, am I hurting someone's feelings? But it's just always good to have another person to talk to outside of my own head. And so that was a good conversation piece, small but mighty. And so sometimes you just have to do the small but mighty things.
That's good.
Hmm.
Yeah, we need
I feel like
go ahead, Queen.
I feel like another mistake we made with the challenge is we had too many steps to it.
Yeah.
So there was like the Google form, which I thought, so we didn't connect. I thought we did collect people because we had a Google form first.
Yeah, we did get a lot of people in the pre-sale stage.
Right.
We had people sign up, including you. You signed up and you got on the list. You got on the wait list.
But
I
then
didn't
when
know
we sent but then when we sent out the approach was let's get folks on a wait list first, and then we will email out the Eventbrite link and have folks sign out. We lost everybody there. So we had quite a few people on the wait list, but when we sent out the Eventbrite, only a fraction of people actually actually signed up. And I noticed the same thing when I used to do the same thing for health coaching and even potluck. Like that seems to be a common theme. Like have it be one step where you put your information and now you're signed up.
Look, we're gonna get right back into the amazing podcast. But if you didn't know, in 2017, we created Black Wall Street, the board game, because we thought more families needed to know about the history of Tulsa Black Wall Street. More families needed to know about the legacy of Black excellence left behind of Tulsa Black Wall Street, that we can own a Madam C.J. Walker Beauty Salon. We can have a Booker T. Washington High School. We can have an Uncle Steve's Barbecue. We can have a Renaissance man like Simon Berry, who had his own taxi service and bus service that got bought out by the city of Tulsa. We have brilliance in our DNA, and we wanted to make sure that your family can play a game that teaches them about this brilliance. So we have Black Wall Street, the board game, right here. We had the first edition available in 2017 that got sold out. We're on the second edition right now, or you can get the beautiful masterpiece version of the game as well. It's up to you. Head to playblackwallstreet.com and get yourself Black Wall Street, the board game, to empower you, your family, and generations to come. Playblackwallstreet.com. Let's get back to the episode.
Obviously making sure that no one else in your space has the new name that you want to do. You want to be unique and you don't want to steal someone else's brand. Don't want to get yourself in any trouble. But also on social media, sometimes people may have a social media page. It may not be a legit business or anything like that, but don't go look. But even if the exact one you want is taken, you can still get creative with like underscores or putting the or whatever at it. So don't be discouraged if just a social media handle is taken. I think if it's not a business name, you can still get creative.
Yes, and you did a very good point. Go to your state Secretary of State and look up the new brand name.
Yeah.
And make sure it's not there.
Yep.
And then go ahead and claim that name.
Yes. That will avoid legal trouble. You don't want anybody coming after you. Where are we? 5. Secure E. We're on E. Secure a new domain. So, right, social media, you also need a website. And so securing a new domain where people are actually going to go to find you should also match up in some way, shape, or form with your new brand name. If it's not the full company, ours is a little long. So we may shorten it, but it should still have something to do with your new name. So what's a good tool that people can use to go find?
Yeah, you can use a few. We use usually either GoDaddy or Google Domains. Listen, y'all, I have a whole bunch of domains that I
He
own.
collects. Another hobby of his is collecting domains.
My thing is like, if I have a good idea and the domain isn't taken, I want to just boom, let me own this domain. That way, eventually, when I have the idea, I already have the perfect domain for it. So I have like movie ideas where it's like Rose and Rodney. I got that domain way before, way before it even like the movie came out. I got a few other cool ones too. Long story short, buy yourself a domain. It's like $12. Sometimes it can be $50 per year to get it. You do have to pay every single year. But yeah, make sure the domain is there. And what I like to do is probably get a few different versions of the domain as well. So get like the abbreviated short version that's easier to say to people, but then maybe get the full brand name as well. Because if your brand does take off, you don't want someone else to then go buy the domain and then people Google your full brand and then that other person's domain comes up because they own it. So you may want to secure that one as well, just for extra protection.
Good point.
Oh, it's on me. Number 6 is you want to, like we're doing right now, communicate the new brand to the team, to your team, and to your audience, right? So don't just pop up, don't do a Beyonce album drop, right? Because you're not Beyonce. Right? It's okay. We've learned that lesson. I'm not Dame Dash, right? I can't just drop something without marketing because I don't have that backing. So now we know we need to communicate actively with our audience to make sure that they're along for the ride and that they know what's happening, so that when they see the first post, when they see the new Instagram account, when they see the new YouTube, the new logo, all that stuff, it's not a surprise. It's like, oh, okay, they've been talking about that for a few weeks now. Right. Boom, it's finally here. It also kind of helps build the anticipation up, I think, a little bit. Like, ooh, what's the name of the podcast? When's the rebrand coming? What's going to change? So you want them to be along with the ride, or we want you to be along with the ride with us. Appreciate you. All right. And then last but not least, queen number G.
Number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whatever. Number G. Stay in your new identity and your niche. Yeah. So, right, you've done your rebrand, you've done all of this work to switch brands and identities. You have to be careful not to backslide into what's comfortable. And go back to the old ways is make sure that you have your steps outlined, right? Who are the guests that you get on your podcast? Who are your customers? How are you outreaching to them? Have all of that outlined, so that you make it hard for you to backslide into your old ways. I feel like for us, it's going to be like the being careful not to say a true health forever and things like that. Like it's going to take some time, but I think we've done a pretty good job of also getting our new name into our vocabulary so that that doesn't happen. But yeah, just make sure that you've got all of your steps outlined after the rebrand and you're consistent, kind of like your system of how you market, how you reach out to, depending on what type of business you have, how you reach out to your guests, how you reach out to your audience, your customers, your new segment of customers. It may require a new marketing strategy. So how are you going to do that? Lay out that strategy so that you don't have to fumble and figure it out afterwards. And, you don't want to have any slip ups and have people confused on, okay, so what is your business? Yeah. So yeah, that's an important one.
Oh yeah. The only thing I'll add to that is it's going to feel uncomfortable at first, right? Especially whether you start a new stuff from zero or you convert things and maybe you don't get the reaction that you thought you would get, or you don't get the reaction or the likes that you were getting before, or whatever it may be. You may be like, okay, well, let me just switch back. Yeah. Right? Like, it's been 2 weeks. We started this new Play Black Wall Street Instagram. We only got 10 followers. We're only getting 2 likes. Forget it. Let's stop posting there. Let's just keep posting on True or Forever. We were getting 20 likes, right? But now we're getting hundreds of likes with Play Black Wall Street, right? So take your time, stay true to it, and have some metrics, have some benchmarks that you can kind of keep yourself accountable for at least a quarter, 2 quarters, 3 months, 6 months. But yeah, like the queen said, do not backslide into what was comfortable before.
Right.
Because the point of getting uncomfortable is to see that growth, to feel that growth. Okay. Queen, you good?
I'm good.
Cool. So hopefully you got some value. If you did get some value out of that, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. If you are listening on Apple Music, Spotify, podcasts, make sure you subscribe to the show. We greatly appreciate you and get this message out to more amazing people. Queen, let's get into some updates.
Should I drop the name before or after
Oh,
the updates?
These people. Go ahead. I think they deserve it.
Yeah, I think so. Okay.
I think they deserve it.
All right. You stuck around till now. Yeah. Okay, so the new name of our podcast is. None of them are drum roll, unfortunately.
Golly.
There's an applause.
Where's the applause?
Yellow.
This?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. The new name is M4, or the Melanated Married The Melanated Married Millionaires in the Making. The reason why we're laughing is because we had a live brainstorming session. Jair was there, where we thought of this name and we instantly liked it, and I instantly struggled. I've only successfully said it maybe 5 times. Mm-hmm. I've stumbled thousands. So I think it's going to be part of the new experience is going to see how many times I actually say it correctly. Yeah. But it is the Melanated Married Millionaires in the Making. Woo!
There it is. There it is. Yes. So it is going to be, I think I'm liking the M4 show, right? Instead of doing the podcast. And this is a branding tip or a visionary tip from Dame Dash when he was talking to EYL. Great pivotal, I think, episode that they had, because you can see their trajectory and even the way that they move shift after this episode. But he was like, why do you call it a podcast? No, you're thinking too small. A podcast is only audio. A podcast is only in one stream. You have a show. You have a TV show where people are tuning in on TV, on YouTube, on HBO Max, on Amazon Prime. They can also listen to your show, but this is a show. This is an experience. So call yourself a show. And after that, they're like, yeah, you're right. They shifted, and now, yeah, like you see the trajectory of EYL go up just from that shift in thought. Right. So the M4 show, and we have some dope concepts that we want to do. So y'all not ready.
Between Rose and Radney and this rebrand, you about to be just bouncing off the walls with energy.
Because so here's the thing. I wrote down, I don't know if I have it still. It's somewhere over there. I think we may have lost it when I moved though. But I wrote down like 5 goals that I had in life. Right. And I think you wrote down your goals as well. But one was to be a good, amazing husband.
Yes.
Wrote that down. It's a constant goal, right? But another one was to create a positive. Are you winking at me? Or are you just blinking asymmetrically? Oh man, I was be a good husband. She was like, oh man, y'all gotta definitely watch this if you're listening. But be a good husband, but to build a positive media company was another one of my goals. So to be able to see Rose and Rodney out there in real life doing its thing is beautiful for the kids. The M4 show, I think, is going to be beautiful for the parent and for those married couples of those same kids. So it's like we're building that media tree trunk, but also this whole media company has its own branches of people. So yeah, I'm freaking juiced. The M4 show, or the Melanated Married Millionaires in the Making show. And after 100 episodes of the M4 show, these 2 people will be millionaires. Faux show.
Gang, gang.
Let's go. Talk around social media and mental health, right? Or even self-worth, self-love, value, all of that stuff. So can you maybe give, your own perspective on how entrepreneurs or people in general, right, as they're posting, as they're stepping into YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, what is a healthy way to make sure you're posting, but you're not attaching your value, right? How you see yourself and how you think other people see you on those likes, on those comments.
That's good. Yeah, listen, social media is not real life, right? Social media is not real life, right? You know what I mean? You are an individual. You are a very unique individual. You have something phenomenal to offer to the world. So what I would say is, when you're posting your content, understand, again, you're offering a solution to somebody's problem. And as long as you keep that in mind, then I think it's going to help you to have a healthy perspective on when you're posting. But also, if you feel yourself kind of getting bogged down, disconnect. You know what I'm saying? If you got to come off of social, you got to come off of social. And what you can do is, if you use a platform like Later, Later, or you do Facebook Creator Studio, those things allow you to post. They allow you to schedule your post, right? So you can actually schedule your post in ahead of time. So if you're like, listen, I just need to take a break, I need to disconnect, but you still want to post, right? Schedule your post and just let these platforms go ahead and schedule the post for you, and you take some mental health time. You take some mental health time, because I see it a lot. Comparison, right? And they say comparison is a thief of joy. And a lot of people are feeling as if they're not adequate, or they're feeling as if they're not good enough, because they're looking around them and they're seeing the highlights of somebody else's life and saying, man, how come that ain't my life? Well, guess what? It's probably not their life either. It's probably not their life either. So look, so who you are, your mental health, your overall health is the most important thing. And so, social media will be there. So you do what you have to do, you post, but if you feel yourself getting overwhelmed and you got to take a break, take a break.
Welcome back, M4 community. This is your first episode. Thank you for joining us. My name is Devon Travell, co-host of the M4 show and creator of Black Wall Street, the board game. Now, as you can tell, we're on the road right now, right? We're currently in Tampa for the Queen's family reunion. Next week, we're going to be in Aruba, but I didn't want the podcast to stop producing value. And last time that we were on the road and we were producing the podcast live, the quality was okay because of the internet. We were tired because sometimes we were doing it at like 1 a.m. to keep up with the schedule. So instead, we got a real special episode. What we're going to do is we're going to take bits and pieces from past episodes. We've been doing this for 3 years, and we want to make a real deep and intentional episode for people who are interested in either building a brand, right? You have an idea right now, but you haven't put it to the market yet, right? You haven't taken that first step in actually launching it. So you have an idea for a brand, or you've been building a brand for some time now, and for whatever reason, you haven't been able to gain traction, right? Maybe it's your messaging, right? Maybe it's the content that you're creating, right? Maybe it's the offer, the freebie that you have or don't have, right? So again, we've been doing this podcast for 3 years, and we've had guests on, and we've talked about branding as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a nice compilation episode for you that's going to go through 5 very intentional messages, steps for you to take to go from zero brand, zero business, or some established brand, to making money within your brand, building a community, using customer data to get more customers, and more. All right. Make sure y'all stay into the very end. And of course, if you like these types of episodes, please let us know so we know to continue to create content just like this. Let's get into that. Thank you for supporting the M4 show and our mission to increase the wealth of Black families.
If you received any value from this episode, any value at all, any, do us a favor and give us a like and subscribe on YouTube and Apple, Spotify, anything, all of them, all of them, wherever you're listening, go ahead and like and subscribe.
And after you like and subscribe, make sure you send this episode to at least one family that you really want to see win. We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.